Welcome back. This is my first video in the series. The detailing the 9 factors of war, the 9 principles of war, I should say, as laid forth by Carl von Clausewitz, a Prussian general who fought during the time of Napoleon. And served in the Russian military as a military advisor, artillery general in the Prussian military, educator in the Prussian military, and a researcher of history and military history and strategy. Um, it's a very influential book that he wrote called On War, um, which is also available on Audible, by the way, in which he discusses 9 principles of war, how to effectively command armies in a time of war. So, without further delay, I'm going to introduce the 9 principles of war, which you will hear about in more depth over the next couple of weeks as I make videos for each of the principles of war, discussing them in more detail. The first principle of war is objective. Now, objective in Age of Sigmar, you're thinking immediately of those little capture the flag um, medallions that you place on objectives in the battlefield, but it can be also more than that. When thinking of your objective for when you're battle planning, is it is important to decide what are you gonna achieve during this battle. Are you gonna annihilate your enemies and wipe them off the board? Are you gonna capture the flags and gain more capture points than victory points? I'm sorry, than your opponent. If yes, which objectives are you capturing? How are you gonna capture them? It has to be a decisive and an attainable goal. Um, the next principle of war is the offensive. He defines it as seize, retain, and exploit the initiative. Basically, you're moving forward on the battlefield, you're taking control of the battlefield, and you're making your enemy react. You don't want to let your enemy um, execute his plans of battle. You want to push him and make him react to what you're doing. The next principle of war, which is a little confusing, is mass. Most people will mass their forces into one big clump and um, use that as their combat power. But Carl of Clausewitz is more thinking along the line of synchronizing combat power. Using your troops in a synchronized manner that maximizes their efficiency during the battle is what he's thinking of. The next one is economy of force. Employ all combat power in the most effective and judicious way. If you are using a ballista on the Stormcast, use them in the most effective way, which is at a range. Don't use them in melee. Use them for defensive stances rather than offensive stances. The next one is maneuver. Movement of your forces to gain an advantage over the opponent. Which can be very broad. But you want to move your forces in ways to which you gain an advantage on the battlefield. If that is by outflanking them, by using a garrison, there are ways to maneuver them to effectively use combat power. The next one is unity of command, which sounds a little silly talking about Age of Sigmar because there is only one commander for the army. But it's still applicable. It is basically use all forces towards the goal, the objective. Don't get sidetracked and this unit got close to this unit, so I'm gonna charge them instead of using this objective. You want all units on the battlefield to function together and not get sidetracked. Next one is security, which is defined as never permitting your enemy to acquire an advantage over you. It's your defensive aspects of the battle. Prevent enemies' maneuvers to try and get advantages over you. How do you defend your lines? How do you defend what's behind the lines? How do you defend the objective? How do you prevent being surprised by your enemy's tactics and strategies? The next one is surprise. Strike the enemy in a time, place, and manner for which they are unprepared. Strike them where they're weak. Strike them in time for which they are not expecting to be attacked. And in ways which they don't expect to be attacked. Keep your enemy off guard. Surprise them. How are they gonna make it to where they don't know what you are doing? If he knows what you're doing, you're at a massive disadvantage. Simplicity. Make clear, uncomplicated plans. In real life, this is necessary to keep everybody on one page, but it is also important to make your battle plans in ways that they are simple and easily executable without allowing room for obstacles to throw you off your battle plan. It helps to have a simple plan. And that's the 9 principles of war. I'm going to go into more detail on them over the next couple of weeks as I make a video for each principle of war, discussing it more in detail, giving examples of miniature movements. And I'm also going to use these 9 principles of war to analyze battle reports that I will be filming with friends so that you guys can see how these apply in an actual match of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So stay tuned, please subscribe, comment below if you got questions and I will try to answer them. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time.